hello. I'll get going in just a moment after I see that the bits are going through the pipes. Say hello in the chats. Let me know you can see and hear me, please. And we'll get this show on the road. Greetings, deep divers. DCD. Hello, DCD. See and hear, great. Okay, I'm gonna get going because I actually have to get out of here a little early. So hello everybody, my name is Scott. I go by TanNewt online and I work for Adafruit on CircuitPython. If you don't know what those things are, Adafruit is an open source hardware and software company based out in New York City. I work for them remotely as a contractor here in Seattle. You can support me and them by going to adafruit.com. They pay me for all of these shenanigans I'm working on. And CircuitPython, which is what I usually work on, is a Python or is a program for microcontrollers that brings you Python to microcontrollers. What is a microcontroller? Well, here's an example. This is a board I designed. This chip here is an ESP32P4. It's two 400 or 360 megahertz RISC-V CPU processors, and then there's a bunch of other like little peripherals that allow the chip to do other stuff. So CircuitPython makes it really easy to program chips like this and make it do what you want. So you just plug in on one of these USBs. The high-speed one will show up as a USB drive, and you can edit a source code file that's stored on the device itself, and it runs it all self-contained. So that's what CircuitPython is. This is a deep dive. It's a chance for me to just show off what I've been working on and answer any questions folks have. I love tangents and I love topics that people bring to the party, the stream. I used to do 2 hours. Now I usually do an hour. Today I'm actually going to try to do more like no longer than 45 minutes because I'm going camping right after this and we want to get out of here. So there's a couple other housekeeping things. One is that I'm not streaming on Fridays for the next 3 Fridays, the 5th, the 12th, and the 19th. Tim is going to fill in for me. I'm out those days, so I won't be able to do it, which is also why I wanted to make sure and do this one, even though I'm going camping today and I spent most of the day packing and getting the car all set up and stuff. So what I've been working on, well, I thought, and one other housekeeping thing, let's go to the desktop. A huge thank you and shout out to the Arch Linux folks. Jonathan here fixed the issue with OBS, and now I can see that I gotta scooch this window a little bit. I resized it, 40 pixels. It changed a little bit on me. 350. All right, I think that's closer. There's a little bit of other stuff. I have it cropped. But yeah, so hi Beata. And just a huge thank you to Jonathan here, who's an Arch Linux developer who figured out that we needed an extra use UDEV flag on the Zephyr build. Zephyr is like embedded Chrome, so that's what OBS uses to have little browser windows that I can show, which is how I do the chats. So thank you to Jonathan for that, and that's why we have the chats back, is that I installed this latest version that they pointed out here, and it's working great. So thank you to Jonathan for that. Okay, so what have I been working on? Well, I've been working on a couple things. One is the hardware side of things. So where did I put all of the hardware? Anyway, I've been digging around. I lost my jumper list. I haven't been able to find it, and I've been trying to clean up around here and find it. So I've been doing that. I've also been experimenting with non-Claude models, which is interesting too. Anyway, the P4 hardware in the loop, this is actually the old version, but the V2 came in and it does work. I got that going. And then I also have, hi Tyeth. I saw your chat there, but the hardware in the loop test farm doesn't quite exist yet. But that was the other board that I got back. Actually, I got a couple boards back. But I wanted to kind of like, before I'm gone for a few weeks, I wanted to kind of put a bow on this portion of the streams. So what do we have here? So we actually have two hardware in the loop boards back next to each other. So I wanted to test that they can mount right alongside each other. This is the one that's actually plugged in. And this is kind of like the final form where you have like USBs hanging off going back to the device under test. This is I forget, C5 or C6, C61 or something. This is a standard like form factor for an Espressif dev kit. So these are interesting because they're the sort of thing that you can get first when a new chip comes out. So these boards are designed to, as Taya said in the internal Slack, that these are boards for us to have a hardware in the loop platform. So the idea is that over this Ethernet cable, it presents like a number of servers that allow you to control the device remotely. And so I've been playing around with this. So this is V1 of this hardware in the loop board, and it mostly works. It's not perfect. It mostly works. My head's this way because actually I could look this way too. So what do we have on here? We have the Ethernet. So Ethernet goes into the ESP32 P4. The P4 is kind of like the brain of this, and it's the thing that's going to kind of act on your behalf when you're doing testing. So it has 39 I/O connecting out to the device under test. So that's 19 in this top row and then 20 in the bottom row. And this board also has Arduino headers. A few weeks back, I showed the design of this, but I got it back. So Ethernet works, USB host works. There's a hub chip on here, so that works too. Very excited about that. I/O expander works. I tested that, and the INA219 comes up with something. We can talk to it. I did not confirm that it was actually correct. And then, yeah, the thing that I kind of just, well, I had lunch with a friend this week and showed him this, and he was like, well, what about this? So one design I did is I wanted to be able to test I²C. So the way that I did that, I was like, oh, I'll just be able to pull everything up. And when I pull everything up, I can do I²C. But I hadn't thought about the case, and this is what he pointed out to me, when I'm not pulling up with those resistors, because those resistors are connecting every I/O pin to every other I/O pin, which I was just like, forehead slap, like, darn it. Darn it that's the case. So I'll need to change that. That doesn't like preclude me from working on the software, but that is like something that we'll probably want to redo. I think I'm kind of like gotten down to the point where I'd like to, he suggested doing just more I/O expanders, and then you can put one I/O pin on every pull-up. And the cool thing about that is like not only can we pull up then, but we could also pull down and do it on an individual pin-by-pin basis. So I think that would be neat too. And then what I'm not showing is I actually did create this other, I have this script that we call these swirly grids. So it's a circuit board you can buy from JLC PCB, but it's got an aluminum core. So I really use it for more structural stuff, and it's like relatively inexpensive to build. You can buy different sizes of this off of Adafruit right now. But I regenerated it, so this custom size, it's quite long. It's 22 little cells by 5. And the reason that I did that is because this is how wide in one square of an IKEA calyx, like, oh, you can't actually see a calyx in my background. I have a lot, oh, I guess there's one here, but it's not facing you. There's these like really cheap bookshelves that you can buy from IKEA, and I have like the custom sized cardboard boxes that I can put in there, and so now I have custom sized swirly grids where I can have these. I can put a bunch of hardware in the loop boards on them with different things on it, and then I can actually use I've started collecting these standoffs so that you could actually do multiple layers of it as well. So I'm really thinking about how to like scale this up. But what I've been mostly working on this week was the software side of this. I found that right now, if I do like a ls USB IP to see what USB devices this finds, it doesn't actually find the chip itself. And I think that's because I'm like holding it in reset or something. So I started having my LLMs work on, I would love to have an HTTP server that this hosts that can just tell me like what the state of every pin is and allow me to like, okay, I want it to come up. Oh, and also see like all the USBs. Like, okay, like toggle this pin to be down or up and see what happens. So I have a session here doing that. I did get a little, well, I've gotten a little distracted because Adafruit offered to buy a framework. Let me go back to my desktop, a framework desktop. And so I'm just starting to play around with, this is Quen, oh, sorry. This is Quen 3.6 27B using MTP and GGUF. This is a model that people have identified that can like do quite a reasonable job. And this is running on the framework desktop that I spent yesterday setting up. So thanks to Adafruit for giving me one of those. And so, yeah, I'm starting to play around with local models here. It's interesting we're hitting our context limit is going more. I also added a Pi plugin for metrics. So I'm now logging metrics along with my session logs so that I can like post like, okay, here's my session, and by the way, here's like the overall stats of like what sort of tokens per second is actually reasonable to work with. And then there's also this metric called time to first, this is byte, but token. So how long did it take to start responding? And so I have a thing for Pi here that's printing that out. And yeah. So going back to the hardware in the loop stuff, Taya says, wow, so much of it works already. Great job. Yeah, I really like, I just need to push through and get it done. Problem is I'm a bit of a lame duck because I'm going on vacation in like 2 weeks. And I'm out, 2 weeks, and I'm out next Friday. So I'm kind of like having to figure out and focus on what I want to do before I'm gone for 2 weeks for vacation. Tyth asks, does it allow control of the pins as well as monitoring logic level? Yes, that was something I was vibing up. The model I have for this firmware is a little weird because it's primarily a USB IP bridge where it's like hosting devices via the hub and the USB root port and making them available over USB IP. But and the way that I'm extending that is I'm making what I think of as isolated firmwares that actually are available as other USB devices via that endpoint. So I was working on some firmware for a harness, and I'm a little, I don't know, I'm not super happy with this because I'm building it straight on the ESP IDF. And the reason I'm doing that is because it does asynchronous stuff really well. But when it comes to the harness, I really kind of think I need CircuitPython. And so, yeah, I think I'm still figuring out the software side. And so I need to really push with this hardware that I have to like have a better understanding of what exactly I need. But I am also very, very tempted to dive into a V2 design, especially because I'm going to be out 2 weeks. So I might do some revisions. I'll have to talk with Lamore next week. Hello, RS Bone. I'll probably talk to Lady Ada next week and say, like, do you think I should try to get another revision out? Like, it's not super cheap to do a revision, and everything kind of in the core works. Then again, I haven't really vetted that the like I/O testing stuff works pretty well. I think if I just pull up everything, I'll be okay. But yeah, so I'm thinking about that too. So this is interesting. Oh, you know what? I asked it to figure out what the headers were of the last thing. And I just remembered that the metric added metrics debug. Okay, so it didn't find any response headers. Hello, Fede2. I'm giving it a shot. See how... I think that generally models slow down as your context gets longer. So I'm curious to capture these stats. I really would like... The reason I did this metrics things is I want to get a feel for like what models people are using on framework desktops for like coding work. So yeah, I was thinking maybe it would be cool if I just like straight up had like a GitHub pages that was just like all my sessions that I'm okay sharing, and like it can have stats about which models I was using and what sort of metrics those models had when I was using them, that sort of thing. I think you generally need like repo state too. Ty says, playing with Python Blinka CircuitPython on Linux has been fun for easy host/peripheral control. Then a Python fast API Starlet compromise happened, and I briefly held my breath and checked the versions installed. Okay, thanks. Thank goodness. Fast API Starlet compromise. Oh, like security vulnerability? Yeah, been lots of those flying around. CircuitPython doesn't pretend to be secure though, so, you know. Okay, so this is, let's, we have a little time. If folks have questions, feel free to ask them. Otherwise, I am kind of curious to see if it actually added the HTTP server. So this, note, this is not using my local model. This is using DeepSeek V4 Flash as hosted by Olama Cloud. I've really been trying to get myself more onto open weight models and like providers that are more local focused. Oh, PyPI installable nightmare that robs all your keys. Ooh, that doesn't sound good. What is the harness? This is the Pi coding agent. The Pi coding agent, which I'm kind of a fan of. I was getting very frustrated with Claude's all of its permission checking, and then I did the BotBox thing. And the nice thing about BotBox is I could run Claude or Pi in it. So I've switched over to Pi more recently. They're more local open model focused too, the folks that work on Pi. So I'm happy with that. Okay, so it says we start the HTTP server, and then it goes. So let's see what it does. Scripts. So this is the firmware that runs on the RS Bone says, I use Sonnet 4.6. I try to keep my context under 30% Pi rocks. Yeah, keeping context low is generally better. DeepSeek V4 Flash has 1 million token context, which is interesting. And this Olama Cloud subscription I have is only $20 a month. That's quite a good deal, especially when I'm using DeepSeek V4 Flash. I think this is quite an easy model to host for them. Taya says, if you haven't tried Codex CLI's auto review mode, it's great. Infers acceptable commands by your prompt's intent, otherwise ask for approval. Yeah, I'm over it. Like, I really like having separation of concerns. Like, I like to have a wrapper around it because I can set that wrapper up once for CircuitPython and then it just works, right? Like, I figured out how to make serial devices available. I picked the repos that I wanted to have access to. One thing that's cool is I could actually, like, give it different repos so that, like, I don't cross-contaminate, like, the Claude directory from when it's sandboxed to the one that's not sandboxed. That sort of thing. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that approach that I've taken. Okay, so let's hit the reset button, which also works, and see what we get here. So it found USB devices. So it does have like the logic analyzer capture running here as well. I was super happy when Ethernet came up because I was a little worried. It didn't come up immediately. I was worried that I hadn't done it right, but I just, like, the software didn't actually pick the right pins. So now I should be able to do this IP address and hopefully hit an HTTP server. It didn't see anything. Waiting. Let's ask. Oh, it restarted. It crashed. Stack protection fault. Okay, so let's copy that, paste it here. Love the Factory asks, do you enable memory on Claude or not to prevent cross-contamination? I think when I was using Claude, I had enabled it, and I think I was finding cross-contamination that was annoying. Part of it was that, like, every CircuitPython, there are bugs, not just one, multiple. And all return paths leak memory. Oops. And see, you can see here the metrics plugin, we're doing like over 100 tokens per second. So it's much quicker than that particular model. It's a different model running on the framework desktop, but yeah, much quicker. Okay. So let's try it again. I think I'm leaning towards not wanting memory because multiple copies of CircuitPython have multiple submodules of things like Zephyr. And so, yeah, we'll see if it actually fixes it. So like getting it, if I was working in a particular branch of CircuitPython, getting it working in the corresponding like Zephyr one was actually kind of hard. Which was annoying. It would be like, oh, I found the Zephyr source. And like, it's like, no. Like, you need to look at the submodule Zephyr source to know the one that's actually being used in this build. Okay, so we're going again. Let's do TO, hit reset. I'm happy that it's like, I'm able to use it. I need to figure out the pin stuff. Making sure that I can get it going and things like that. Okay, it's up again. Whew. Heyo! That was super quick now. I think it's safe to say it fixed the whole situation. Let's see what we can do. So, pin, GPIO number, value, low. T18 is high, so T18 is, it says it's pin 4, but T20 should be high. GPIO 2. There is a pin that should be, T20 should be connected to 3.3 volts, so it should be high. I did clip the 5 volt pin as well, by the way. Saving different resource links into Claude.md inside subfolders means context separation for agents. Combined with saving memories of the project can be great portability. Do you use the same Zephyr workspace for different brand MCUs? I do. Right now for Zephyr, I'm only using upstream. I'm only using upstream Zephyr. And it's a little weird that in ports/Zephyr CP, we have a like Zephyr config that is like kind of where you initialize your workspace. And it has like, I think it has a submodule for Zephyr as well. Maybe not. Maybe it's not a submodule. Maybe that's just where Zephyr lands. We kind of like mash the Zephyr workspace into that ports Zephyr CP folder. It's a little weird. Okay, so it's interesting that GPIO 2 is high. I would actually expect 20. These numbers are slightly wrong because T1 doesn't actually exist. It should be T2. And it's also interesting that it didn't finish. Like it only responded to, like the page is cut off. Yeah, look at that. It's just like, boop. Okay. It's much faster. The HTML source gets cut off. I found like DeepSync quite decent. And I didn't realize it, but OpenCode also has like pretty inexpensive subscription model that includes this model as well. So I think I might do that as well. I think I feel a little bit like I've canceled my $200 a month subscription for Claude and now I can subscribe to all the open ones because they're so much cheaper. Like this is the $20 open Llama Cloud plan and I've been nowhere near the limits. And then there's a $9 Hugging Face Plus or Pro or whatever. And then I think the OpenCode Zen one is like $5 or $10 a month. It's not too bad as well. HTTP response size was why is there a fixed size? Can you stream the response? What's that? All right, any questions? Otherwise, I'm gonna get out of here in just a bit. I'm actually quite happy with this. I am a little curious why. I should look at my GPIO mapping. I think maybe its GPIO mapping is just a little off. So T19 should be GPIO 1. Reset is pulled up high, but 20 should be high as well. Like it should be connected to 3.3 volts. Although if And reset. So are there any other 3.3s that come in? No, just that one. I'm looking at the labels on the top of the thing. Does the HTTP response header know the size? Oh, yes. Ty says, so this isn't running DeepSeek v4 Flash locally. Is it too big, or can you see usage for RAM CPUs on the locally hosted? Oh, two questions. So, correct. I haven't got DeepSeek v4 Flash running locally. It is something that the Pi folks, the Arundel's the company. They like, I think, Lord of the Rings or whatever. They're looking at DeepSeek v4 Flash to run on 128 gigabyte Mac Minis and Mac Studios and stuff. Somebody's, I think, tried it on Framework, but I don't know how fast it is. It is something I want to try, but I'm not currently doing that. Right now I'm just using it through the Ollama cloud. But I think it is theoretically possible that we could run it on the Framework desktop. It's not really one that you're going to run on a GPU unless you're like really expensive. But yeah, and can you see the usage of RAM and CPUs on the locally hosted Lemonade version of Pi? I can see the usage if I pull up that page. I don't think you can access it even if I tell you what it is. It's clanker.mammothmusical.ts.net. And at the bottom here, you can see that there's 50 gigs of RAM, 100% GPU right now, and 41 gigs of VRAM. And you can see the loaded models is the Qwen 3.6 27B. And I think the reason it's at 100 is that it's still churning for this, although it looks like it's having trouble. So it's croaking a little bit there, unfortunately. I wonder if we could see if a new session kind of pokes it back, or whether we're hung. It's still at 100%. And this is why I think the Ollama Cloud and the OpenCode Zen, I think is what it's called, are really appealing, because you don't have to host them yourself. Oh, OpenCode Go is what it's called. $10 a month, but for $5 for the first month. And it's interesting that they, these are the number of requests per 5 hours, and like DeepSeek v4 Flash is the like cheapest. It has the most requests that you can do per time period. And it doesn't have the Qwen 3.6 27B that is kind of interesting for local stuff. So yeah. All right, let's do one last. I don't know, I think it might be hung. It might be hung up. And that's like the world with local models, is like suddenly you're your support person. Look at that. Just with a little headroom, now it can be streamed. So let's give it a shot, and we'll wrap up with this. So we'll build it again. All right, any last questions? If this works. I should commit it and then push. Okay. OpenCode Go. I am really curious what open models people are using, so let me know if you have certain ones that you prefer. Besides the big ones. Is it alive? It says it did it, but now it's not working at all. It like started working and then like got corrupted. Yeah, look at that. It's like some of the response. Are you keeping buffers around long enough? GLM seems good, what I've heard, says Yanni. It's so interesting that like the way that I work has changed so much. Okay, let's take a look at it. It's thinking. I think I found that Olama Cloud is quite slow in the morning, and then like as East Coasters like stop using it, it gets quicker again. All right, 3 minutes and I'll wrap up. It's so funny to watch these, but wait, actually wait. But in practice, it's kind of fun to read all the thinking. But then Streamflush sends this many bytes. That would definitely cause corruption. It's working on it. This is where I could have an opinion. I could point it to the way that CircuitPython does it, because we kind of like tackled that already. How do you envision the tokens and thinking go to process the prompt? What do you mean by that? How do the tokens thinking go to prompt? Okay. All right, let's try it again. Not sure what you mean. How did it know what long enough meant? Where did it learn that from? I'm not in the weeds about this. Like, I still think of them as, I do still think of them as like token predictors, but how they get the math side of things working correctly, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. And the answer is that I don't actually know how it comes up with that. Well, that source looks better. So if I refresh this. Huh. It's still... Nope, style is still not closed. Still not working. Style tag. Never closed. Fetch. CV output. We would say preserve the storage till it is transmitted, but it is impressive magic when it gets it correct. Yeah, it's surprising when it gets things correct for sure. All right, I'm gonna wrap up because I want to get out of here and make sure that I have time to load the car up and pick the kids up. I will pick this up on Monday when I'm here. I actually was like kind of pleasantly surprised that it worked as well as it did. But we'll have to poke at it more to know. So thank you everybody for this short deep dive. Hope you have a great weekend. If you want to support me, you can go to adafruit.com, purchase hardware there. We're really exploring what this new agent LLM world is. In fact, I should start calling them clankers because I really do like the term clanker more. There's a good article from Armin about why he prefers the term clanker. A word for the machine. He doesn't like the agent gives it more credit than credit is due. So clanker, that's why I named the new box clanker as well. So if you want to join Discord, you can go to the URL adafru.it/discord. Again, thanks to Tim for filling in for the next 3 weeks for me as I am out on vacations. And thank you in advance to DCD, who usually takes time codes. And have a great weekend, everybody. I'll see you at the end of June on deep dives, but on Discord's the next couple weeks still. So if you want to hang out with me before then, that's where you can find me. Thanks, everybody. I'll show you a gray day and get out of here. Gray skies in Seattle.